What's going on, guys? This is TaibaHustleKicks.com, and last week we talked about the number of pairs made of the Jordan 13 Flint, and we talked about resale. And I gotta tell you, man, I was so surprised on Saturday when I saw how the price of this shoe just went through the roof, man. Like, he went all the way up to like the high 300s, and it's crazy to me because when I did my projection and my prediction, I was thinking more like in the high, like 270s and 280s and all that. And but he just blew my mind. And to me, it's like this whole COVID-19 has done more good to retailers than he has done bad to them, because we're supposed to be in a recession and people are spending money like never before. I mean, it's like these shoes are just flying off retailers' shelves virtually. Like, it's crazy how all these general release retros are selling out. It's crazy to me. Now, I don't know how to explain it. Like, a store like still sitting on shoes that they haven't like actually given out to the public. What's going on? Because no one, I mean, the shoe absolutely sold out like this, like instantly, and it was crazy. Now, you are aware that fakes have been on the market. I actually wrote this article on the fake and the real one like 3 days before the shoe actually dropped, but I didn't get a chance to like put it on YouTube yet. Now, if you want to get access to these presentation early, just go on my website, houseofkicks.com. You see the link in the description. Just do that, because I write and sometimes I don't have a chance to put it on YouTube. So if you want to get access to it quickly, go on the website. Now, a few things before I actually start. Like, when I do these comparisons, the thing is I don't have the shoes on hand, so I lean highly on pictures that I fetched, and usually it's just for preventive methods. So I don't claim to be a know-it-all. Matter of fact, I don't know as much as I should, but I try to do these things to try to help you make your buying decision. So I don't sit here to claim to be a Sherlock Holmes where, hey, I'm the authenticator, the number one. No, that's not who I am. You know, I try to help as much as I can. So a lot of guys get a little bit critical, because they're saying to me, you don't have the shoes on here. Yes, I do. I don't have. So that's why I actually take my time to analyze pictures, and I never compare shoes of different sizes. So I'm not going to take a size 9 and pin it again a size 10 or 11 and vice versa. So I try to compare the same sizes to be consistent, because usually I know these are massively produced, but the nuances shouldn't be that bad. So when you have like pretty bad nuances, that's when you know a shoe is fake. And again, I don't claim to know it all. This is not an exhaustive list. So be sure to check out other people's stuff, because you can learn from a lot of people. And if you have something productive or constructive to share, I'm more than willing to listen to you. And I want to learn, just like you want to learn. So I'm also learning. Okay, so let me get into the actual presentation. Now, the first thing we want to look at is the side here. Let me see if I can make this thing a little bit bigger. Okay, now if I make it a little bit bigger, let me move my face here, so move all the way to the bottom here, and let's focus on this here. You see around this hole here, there's like a little ring. You can see there's a border there. You don't see that on the fake one. There's nothing. That ring is nowhere to be seen on the fake. And you can also see that the tongue of the fake one is very short. I'll show you why in a minute. I'll show you why the tongue is so short. And if you look at the liner here, the heel liner, it kind of sits on top of this area here. This area that where the leopard eye is. The liner, the heel liner sits on top of that. If you look on the fake one, they are kind of intertwined here. This actually feels like it sits above it, and that's because of poor craftsmanship. Technically, these shoes are the same size, so they should have the same features. Now, I understand that sometimes when you have mass production, there's like differences, but these shouldn't be that bad. And if you look at this shape here, that shape does not look like that shape here at all. It does not. They don't look alike. If you look at the bottom of it, like you see, it goes up here, and it kind of curves a little bit here. This is just a little bit round on the top, so you don't see that. The shape is not the same. Now, let's look at the next thing here. The back. Now, if you look at the back again, let me give you a closer picture. If you look at this on the back tab here, this portion here, it extends further on the authentic. You can see how bad it is on the fake one. It doesn't look the same, and the material is not the same. I can tell you that right now. And if you look at this inclination on the authentic, is more like steep, and here is more obtuse and flat. You can see it's almost flat here. If you see on the top here, you see the curve is almost flat up here. And if you look at the spacing between the lateral side overlay and the medial side on the authentic, is much smaller. The gap is much smaller on the fake one, is much wider. Again, both shoes are size 8.5, so they should have technically the same features. If you look at the same overlay here, right, between the spacing between this overlay and the edge of the midsole is much wider on the fake one and much smaller on the authentic pair. And if you look at that same overlay on the other side, on the lateral side, you see the gap here. You can see that there's a gap here on the fake one. There is no gap. It's almost adjacent to the edge of the midsole. That's another thing. Now let's jump on to the next, and then I'm going to mention again. Remember I was talking about the tongue. You see how short the tongue is here? You see, this tongue is like very short, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Now if you look, you see the spacing between the throat line type and the first set of holes. I'll get you a better picture here. I mean, you already see it. You see the spacing is wide on the authentic and almost non-existent on the fake one, the first set of holes here. You can see that. That's what makes this tongue so short, because this tongue is really short. This is why this is happening here. And if you look at the stitching below the tab, you can see it's really like loose on the fake one. You can see the holes here is loose. These threads are just going to come off in no time. All right. And then the next thing we're going to look at is the label. Now this is where the fun part comes. Like if you look at this label here, right, you can see there's like a little serpent here. You can see that little serpent. That's the chip, the metal chip that's behind that label. You don't see that anywhere on the fake one. This is a hidden antenna behind the label. We're going to talk about that. But before we talk about it, I'm going to show you something else here before we jump into that. You can see here, like on the authentic, you can tear up this portion of it. You can see the dots and all the gap here. You don't see that anywhere on the fake one. And I need to mention how blurry this Jumpman is. Now, I'm going to show you that label again, and we're going to talk about what I've mentioned. If you see on this label here, you can see there's like a little shape here. You can see this, right? This is the chip that's behind that label. This is the RFID chip. And let's get into that and explain what it is. Like I shared something a little while ago in which I talked about, you can see I've ripped my label. So when you rip your label, you can see that on every new Nike shoe that's coming out now, you're going to see this chip here. Stored in that is all the information of the shoe, where it came from and all that kind of juicy stuff, like its provenance, what size it is, when it was made and all that. So that chip, if you have an RFID reader, the chip has an antenna that connects to the RFID reader, and it tells you all that information. This is how Nike is fighting against bootlegs. Now, if you look at your usual label, let me go back on this label. You have your RFID identifier. You have this label here. You have that. This is the QR code. Now, the QR code is easily duplicable. You can actually just copy that and paste it anywhere, and that will work. But they can't. The bootlegs, they haven't figured out how to copy this yet. Now they can put a fake metal piece behind the label. That would mean nothing. It would not have any information stored in there, because this is almost like your DNA is unique to that shoe. This is what I'm saying. You can actually authenticate your own sneaker by just doing these simple things. Now if you're home and then you see a shoe that comes with a label like this, and see this label is not even translucent, you can't even see through it. You can see through it. This is why you see that little shape behind here. You can even see through this label. This is the fake shoe. Now, people can actually buy a fake shoe and throw it in an authentic box. So you still have to be careful. But thus far, these are things you can do in your own house to authenticate your sneaker. You can watch it on my website. You just watch this video that I shared. You know, I'll show you this label here. See the label here? This is the little antenna behind it, the little chip that I was talking about. So pretty much this is it, guys. This is what you can do to authenticate your own sneaker. Now, this morning I wrote an article on the Jordan 6 hair. It's coming out on Friday, right? So if you want to read about it, you can jump on the website today. Just check the description and the link below, and you can get access to that. So I talked about how many were made and the resale value and how well the shoe is going to do. So maybe I'll share about it tomorrow on YouTube, but if I don't and you have a chance, please go check it out, and also subscribe to the website and to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Okay, thanks again.